Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12, Chapter 12, Text 55, translation and commentary by servants of His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Avismritihi Krishna Pada Aravindayoho Shinoti Abhadrani Cha Sham Tanoti Sattvasya Shuddhim Parama Atma Bhaktim Jnanam Cha Vijnana Viraga Yuktam Avismriti Krishna Padaravindayo Shinotya Bhadrani Cha Shantanoti Sattvasya Shuddhim Paramatma Bhaktim Jnanam Cha Vijnana Viraga Yuktam Avismriti Krishna Padaravindayo Shinotya Bhadrani Cha Shantanoti Sattvasya Shuddhim Paramatma Bhaktim Jnanam Cha Vijnana Viraga Yuktam Avismriti Krishna Padaravindayo Kshinotya Bhadrani Chatang Shanoti Sattvasya Shuddhim Paramatma Bhaktim Jnanam Cha Vijnana Viraga Yuktam Avismriti Krishna Padaravindayo Shinotya Bhadrani Chatang Shanoti Shantanoti Sattvasya Shuddhim Paramatma Bhaktim Jnanam Cha Vijnana Viraga Yuktam Avismriti Krishna Padaravindayo Shinotya Bhadrani Chatang Shanoti Sattvasya Shuddhim Paramatma Bhaktim Jnanam Cha Vijnana Viraga Yuktam Avismriti Krishna Padaravindayo Shinotya Bhadrani Cha Shantanoti Sattvasya Shuddhim Paramatma Bhaktim Jnanam Cha Vijnana Viraga Yuktam Avismriti Krishna Padaravindayo Shinotya Bhadrani Cha Shantanoti
Sattvasya shuddhim paramatma bhaktim Jnanam cha vijnanam viraga yuktam. Mataji's Avismriti Krishna padara vindayo Shrunotya bhadrani cha shantanoti Sattvasya shuddhim paramatma bhaktim Jnanam cha vijnana viraga yuktam. Mataji's Avismriti Krishna padara vindayo Shrunotya bhadrani cha shantanoti Sadvasya shuddhim paramatma bhaktim Jnanam cha vijnana viraga yuktam. Avismriti Krishna padara vindayo Shrunotya bhadrani cha shantanoti Sattvasya shuddhim paramatma bhaktim Jnanam cha vijnana viraga yuktam. Avismriti Krishna padara vindayo Shrunotya bhadrani cha shantanoti Sattvasya shuddhim paramatma bhaktim Jnanam cha vijnana viraga yuktam. Avismriti Krishna padara vindayo Shrunotya bhadrani cha shantanoti Sattvasya shuddhim paramatma bhaktim Jnanam cha vijnana viraga yuktam. Remembrance of Lord Krishna's lotus feet destroys everything inauspicious and awards the greatest good fortune. It purifies the heart and bestows devotion for the Supreme Soul, along with knowledge enriched with realization and renunciation. There is no purport given to this verse, although Srila Prabhupada quoted it and commented on it elsewhere in his writings. Om Jnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Shreshtham Manumapi Shakti Putram Atra Swarupam Rupam Tasyagrajam Urupurim Maturim Goshtavartim Radha Kundam Girivaramaho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yataf Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dobre utram. I still remember a few Russian words, like machina and perevodchik, voda, important. What are the two most important words in the Russian language? Hare Krishna, very good, thank you very much. Like many other Russian words, it comes from Sanskrit. But actually the Hare Krishna comes from the spiritual world. Golokera prema dhanna harinama sankirtan. The wealth of the love of Goloka, the spiritual world, is in the congregational chanting of the holy names of Krishna. Now, what is the purpose of this festival? Hare Krishna. To hear about and chant about and remember Krishna in the association of devotees. So welcome to our festival. You all welcomed me very nicely yesterday, so I'm reciprocating that. It's very nice to see so many happy faces. Srila Prabhupada's very important instruction, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. No one is allowed to not be happy. And if we chant Hare Krishna, the natural result is that we will be happy. So it's very nice to see so many happy faces. Many of them old, means I've been seeing over many years, some of them newer. Nice to see faces with tilak and shaved heads. Not for the women, of course. One good thing about Russia is they still know the difference between a man and a woman. The Western world is becoming terminally insane, and one of the symptoms is they don't know the difference between men and women. Anyway, yeah, it's very nice to see dhotis and saris, and those who are not yet dressed in either a dhoti or a sari are requested to do so. It helps to create an atmosphere of Krishna consciousness. Just like if you're in a military academy. Some of you may have been in a military academy. So everyone in a military academy or a police academy, they dress in a certain uniform. So it helps to create a feeling that I am part of this, I have this identity, I have this duty. So you can chant Hare Krishna in any dress. You can also chant Hare Krishna with no dress, completely naked. But this dress was given to us by Srila Prabhupada to help us to help each other remember Krishna. The most important thing is chanting Hare Krishna, but there is a whole culture which helps us to remember Krishna. And that is the purpose of this festival. A very famous verse of Bhagavad Gita, Mandana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mang namaskuru, are the first two lines. And as it comes twice in Bhagavad Gita, the last two lines are a little different in each case. Mame vaishasi yuktvanam atmana matparayanaha in one case. And mame vaishasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. So in both of the cases where it appears, the first two lines are, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and bow down to me. And Krishna says, if you do this, you will certainly come to me. And in the first instance, he says, you'll be intimately linked with me by dedicating yourself fully to me. It's a loose translation. And in the second version of the verse, he says, you will certainly come to me. I promise you this because you're my very dear friend. So in the purport to this verse, I believe it's in the first instance, Srila Prabhupada says that one should mold one's life in such a way that one cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day. The purport of the verse expands on and explains the words of the verse spoken by Krishna. So these words, manmana, Srila Prabhupada translates as, always think of me. And he explains in the purport that one should mold one's life in such a way that one cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day. We find it difficult because our habit, our tendency has been different since time immemorial, so that it seems natural for us not to think of Krishna. Actually, it is natural for us to think of Krishna, but in our very unnatural position of being in this material world, we take what is unnatural to be natural and vice versa. So we should mold our life in such a way that we cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day. That is especially possible for those who live as brahmacharis in the ashrams, who are supposed to have no other existence, no other activity in life than serving Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada wanted communities in which householders can also live, and while doing their necessary work, they can also help each other remember Krishna. Swakarmana tam abhyarcha siddhing vindati manavaha. Lord Krishna says that by performing one's prescribed work and worshipping Krishna, everyone can attain perfection. Unfortunately, the way modern life is set up, most of our householders are in a situation where it's not conducive for remembering Krishna 24 hours a day. They have sadhana to follow. Sadhana is supposed to help us remember Krishna. But often we see, due to the pressure of working in this world, the sadhana becomes compromised. Or even if a devotee is not compromised by excessive work, if not living in the association of devotees, then the tendency is to not be very attentive or intense in our sadhana. Or we also have the phenomenon of devotees who tell each other not to be very intense in sadhana, which to me seems very strange, because devotees come together so that they can worship Krishna. And the more you put in, the more you get out. The more effort you put in, the more benefit you get. And it's not with little effort that one can become purified and go back to Godhead. It requires full surrender, full commitment. So this idea of take it easy, well, it's better than nothing. Chant Hare Krishna sometimes, somehow, as you like, if you like. It's better than nothing, but it's not going to carry us back to Godhead. So this festival is organized so that at least for a few days, all of us can come together and help each other to remember Krishna. And the process is very simple. Hearing about Krishna, chanting the names of Krishna in the association of devotees, serving Krishna. There's so much service to do here. Many thanks to those who have worked hard to organize this festival. Yeah, obviously, there has been a lot of hard work put in to make it possible. And to those who are working now and will continue to do so through the next few days. There are many services to do, so if you'd like to take up some services to assist in the facilitation of the festival, then you're welcome to do so. Of course, we don't want everyone serving in different ways so that no one comes to the program. That's also one kind of service, to come to the program. That's the main point. So please attend all the programs as far as possible. Mothers with little children may have, for instance, some other things they need to do. But as far as possible, please participate fully in this festival. Chant and dance. Dancing is very important. Right? Acharya Ratna, is that right? He's going like this. He believes in it very strongly. I'm not going to be a good example in this regard due to various pains in the body, especially in the feet. It's going to be difficult for me to dance during this festival, which means that all of you have to dance more to make up for me. This is, as you can see, this is a basketball training place, I believe, is it? So to be a good basketball player, you have to jump high. So we want to see you jumping high. Not basketball, but in kirtan. It helps to have in the kirtan, when we have many devotees, we need to have enough kartals, everything. I noticed in the Mangalarti kirtan, devotees are playing well, give me a pair of kartals. They're playing very gently, which is very suitable if you're just in your house with 2 or 3 people. But when we have 200-300 devotees, you need to play like this. You need to play a little louder. You can take your kartals. Yeah, so this very important verse, Manmana bhava mad bhaktaha, it's expanded on in this verse from Bhagavatam that we started this class with. Avismriti Krishna padara vindayoho kshenotya bhadrani cha shantanoti sattvasya shuddhing paramatma bhaktim jnanam cha vijnana viraga yuktam. Remembrance of Lord Krishna's lotus feet destroys everything inauspicious and awards the greatest good fortune. It purifies the heart and bestows devotion for the Supreme Soul, along with knowledge enriched with realization and renunciation. There's no commentary given in this verse, but Srila Prabhupada quoted it in his book, which is, he wrote it in Bengali and it's later translated with the title Renunciation Through Wisdom. And commenting on this verse in that book, he says, therefore, to remain beyond the reach of delusion and duality, one has to always remember and meditate on the beatific form of Lord Krishna, who has a darkish complexion and is playing his flute. One must also remember and chant the holy name of Krishna, which is non-different from him, its nature being eternal, perfect, pure, and independent. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna explains the importance of remembering him always. Yang yang vapi smaran bhavam tyajyanteva kalevaram. Tyajyantante kalevaram. Tang tame vaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha. Mayarpita mano buddhir mame vaishyasya sangshayaha. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur often quoted this verse. And it first came to my attention, I think, before the later volumes of Bhagavatam were translated. Because when Srila Prabhupada passed away, he'd translated up to the 10th canto, 13th chapter. So the 10th canto, 13th chapter was published shortly after Prabhupada passed away. And it took some time for the whole of the 11th and 12th, the rest of the 10th canto and the 11th and the 12th cantos to be translated and published. So I wasn't at all familiar with this verse. Shortly after Srila Prabhupada passed away, I started doing research for what eventually became the book that I wrote called Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava. So I thought to try to meet the still present disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and learn from them about their experiences with him. So I first heard this verse spoken by a disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So the first word is given avismriti, which is translated as remembrance. It literally means non-remembrance. So vismriti, smriti means remembrance, vismriti means non-remembrance, and the prefix a can be used in the same way as vi. So it means non-remembrance. The prefix a suggests a sense of total non-remembrance or total absence of remembrance. And vismriti, the prefix vi, gives a sense of sometimes you may remember and sometimes you forget. And when the forgetfulness is there, then it's called vismriti. So this term brings to mind the well-known injunction, smartavya satatang Vishnu, vismartavya najatu chit. To always smartavya satatam Vishnu, to always think of Krishna, to always remember Krishna. And vismartavya najatu chit, and to never forget him at any time. Sarva vidhi nishedasya etayo eva kinkaraha. All the other rules are the servants of these two rules. Which actually, these two rules, they're really one rule, aren't they? The second one is just, it's an intensifier to underline the point. You must always remember Krishna, okay? And don't ever forget him. It comes to the same thing. But it's both, it's given as if two injunctions. In the Vedic Dharma Shastras or rules of how to live, or in the various rules how to live for various sampradayas, the rules are divided into two sections. Things that should be done, this is called vidhi, and things that should not be done, this is called nisheda. So an example of something that should be done, the chanting of the holy name should be done. And an example of forbidden activity is eating meat. So here we have smartavya satatang Vishnu, this should be done. And vismartavya, forgetting Vishnu, this should never be done. Sarva vidhi nishedasya etaya eva kinkaraha. So all the do's and do nots, all the vidhi and nished, these two do and do not, these two encompass everything else. Specifically stated here, avismriti Krishna padaravindayo ho. We start off at the lotus feet of Krishna. How do we do that? We have to come to Prabhupada. Prabhupada means who is always at the lotus feet of Prabhu? Prabhupada also means the feet of God. So how are we going to come close to the lotus feet of God? Who are we? Who are we? Do we have qualification? One can approach God who is fully pure. Vitaraga bhaya krodha manmaya mamupashritaha bahavo jnana tapasa putamad bhavamagataha. Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita that being purified of attachment, fear, and anger, becoming fully sheltered in me via the parampara system. Many persons in the past, by development of knowledge and renunciation, became purified and came to me. So purification is required. If we have attachment or fear, reluctance to approach Krishna, or anger, we cannot approach Krishna. We have to become purified in order to approach Krishna. Srila Prabhupada, who is at the lotus feet of Krishna, has very kindly agreed to intercede for us so that we can begin to approach the lotus feet of Krishna. Means act as a go-between for us, or to put in a good word for us. We have to start at the bottom. Ontologically, there's no difference between Krishna's feet and his face. But as a matter of humility, which is required, we should begin at the feet. Ashlishava padaratam pinashtumam. We should, we desire to be embraced by Krishna, but we should be ready to be crushed under his feet also. So we have to remember, who's the boss? We're the servant. We're not on an equal level with him. But at the same time, Krishna, he's very beautiful. It's not a matter of just being afraid of God. I was raised in a religious culture where I was told to fear God. You do what you're told, otherwise you will burn in hell forever. Very frightening God. But here we have lotus, beautiful like a lotus, God. His feet are very beautiful. Everything about him is very sweet. Madhuradhipater, akhilam madhuram. Everything about him is very sweet. So, remembering the lotus feet of Krishna, kshinotya bhadrani, the first result is that it destroys everything inauspicious. Our whole existence in this material world is inauspicious. This brings to mind the effects of pure devotional service as described by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The first result of practicing pure devotional service, even in a rudimentary way, is, anyone? Kleshagni, destruction of all distress. And the next is Shubhadam, it brings all auspiciousness. So the same thing is stated here. Kshanotya Bhadrani, remembrance of Lord Krishna's lotus feet, destroys everything inauspicious. Cha Shang Tanoti, and it also expands all auspiciousness. Satvasya Shuddhim, I was going to translate it as it purifies our whole existence. Here in the word-for-word translation, Satvasya has been given of the heart. So it purifies our heart and awards devotion to the Supreme Soul. Remembrance is just the beginning. Remembrance should lead to the desire to serve. Because remembering Krishna means to remember Krishna. But we also need to not just remember Krishna, but remember who he is and what is our relationship with him. Jive Surup Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. We're all eternal servants of Krishna. So we have to serve Krishna. Now we may think, well, Dasya Ras, that's very low. I'm going to be a gopi. But all the devotees, whatever is their eternal situation in relationship to Krishna, even Nanda Maharaj, even Radharani, they all think themselves intrinsically servants of Krishna. Bhakti is often thought of as a sentiment, but here in this Bhagavatam verse is clarified, Jnanam cha vijnanam viraga yuktam, that remembrance of Krishna is accompanied by knowledge of Krishna, realization of Krishna, and detachment from everything else. Which again brings to mind other verses. Bhaktim pareshanubhavo viraktiranyatra. The bhakti to the Supreme Lord is defined as an experience of the Supreme Lord and detachment from everything else. So these are all the kinds of important points that we should regularly discuss. Nityang Bhagavata Sevaya, which means to always or regularly hear Bhagavatam. The same message is given in this famous verse. Nashta prayeshva bhadreshu nitya. The same word is given. Abba, nashta is the same as the word kshinoti here. So regularly hearing Bhagavatam, it destroys all auspiciousness. The Bhagavatam expounds on all these topics in various ways, in various contexts, from various perspectives. So it's very helpful. It's essential for our devotional life to hear about these topics. Chatrinvan supartan vicharana paro vimuchyan naraha. We should read the Bhagavatam, recite the Bhagavatam. We should hear, first of all, Chatrinvan, first, we should hear the topics of Bhagavatam. Study and recite with an active mind, not just doing it as a ritual, but applying our intelligence to it. And if we do so, then we'll get the highest liberation, which is going back to Godhead. So let us try to be absorbed in this, at least for a few days while we're here. And I started off by saying 2 words in Russian, and I'll finish with 2 words in Russian. Hare Krishna. Spasiba. One more word.